Allowing for inflation, he became one of the richest gangsters ever. His superpower was instilling fear. He made many thousands afraid, and they paid him to stay safe. From a warm-blooded human perspective, however, Carmine Persico's life is best measured by what he destroyed, the pain and death and suffering he left in his wake. This book will detail only a fraction of the lives cut short, either by Carmine on his own or through his orders. He destroyed his own blood family. His older brother died in prison. His younger brother spent 22 years behind bars. Both he and his eldest son will likely die in prison. Another of his sons was recently sentenced to 5 years. Family members that remain free are stigmatized by their name, a name that now wears a reptilian connotation because of Carmine's reputed chilly manner of doing dark business. He inadvertently helped to destroy his crime family by insisting that the Persicos stay in charge across generations despite lengthy prison sentences, like kings or the Corleone sons in The Godfather, rather than sticking to mafia tradition and the meritorious method of succession, like popes. Indeed, Carmine Persico will be remembered for the swath of destruction he left behind, a street kid who started out threatening and sometimes beating children for their lunch money, one that carried that same born-to-extort manner into adulthood. Using a combination of brashness, cunning, and an appetite for extreme violence, Carmine Persico rocketed from gangster on a Park Slope Brooklyn street corner to boss of the Colombo crime family, where he reputedly became the longest-reigning godfather in modern mafia history, mostly from behind the bars of a federal penitentiary. One of the first stories I ever heard about Carmine, the Snake Persico, was that, as a kid, he beat a guy to death with his bare hands in a gang fight. It was a story befitting a legendary hood. Unfortunately, it appears that it's also untrue. True, there was a gang fight. True, Carmine was there. True, a guy died and Carmine was arrested, but the victim was shot. Carmine was arrested again the following year in connection with another murder, a murder that involved many bullets and spraying brain matter, but again his fists had nothing to do with it. I don't know where the misunderstanding began, but it was formalized in Selwyn Robb's fantastic book, 5 Families. When he cites the date of Carmine's arrest, it is March 2nd, 1951, the day Carmine was nabbed for the shooting murder of Stephen Bove alongside the putrid Gowanus Canal. I had to admit, I was disappointed that, as far as we can document, Carmine never beat a guy to death Boom Boom Mancini style. For the first time in this book, you'll get the whole true story. Don't worry, there are plenty of other ultra-violent Carmine Persico stories that you couldn't make up. Albert Anastasia, Joe Jelly, Frankie Schatz, Larry Gallo, etc. Other things could never be pinned on him. Best we can say is that he was frequently in the vicinity of murder, that he left choppy waves of death, pain, and suffering in his wake. Carmine understands that there's no benefit in publicity, and he has managed remarkably well to keep his brand name off nefarious activities. We see him best when he is captured or wounded, twice by multiple gunshots and once almost blown to smithereens by a car bomb, incidents that would have killed lesser men, murder attempts into which I have inside info. Whenever possible, Carmine was the guy whose name wasn't in the paper, the guy that eyewitnesses forgot to mention. He was the guy nearby. And so there are times in telling his story when we must see all around him without seeing him at all. Lucky if we catch a glimpse of shadow, as Carmine Persico quietly accrued power, the way other men breathe. Act 1. Chapter 1. Red Hook. The first thing you need to know about gangsters back then is they were cowboys. In the streets of South Brooklyn was the Old West. Gangs ruled. The street-corner Garfield boys of Carmine's youth were a starter program, a farm system, feeding the behemoth of Joseph Profaci's South Brooklyn Brigade, i.e. the Borgata. Sicily is a tough island off the toe of Italy. The poor soil refuses to grow food, and the weather is so harsh it'll make a young person old. Throughout Sicily's history, it has been overrun by the conquering armies of other nations. The Greeks, Romans, Byzantines, Muslims, Normans, French, Spanish, Austrians, and Nazis all took turns being in charge.